Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you're watching. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Today is breaking news. We're coming to you with live coverage of the verdict in the Chad Daybell Doomsday Fortune Profits murder trial. There is a verdict that's going to be read in about 10 minutes in Idaho in a courtroom. He faces 8 counts, 8 charges. Various different charges. I have them all written down here. And he is looking at 8 charges: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit grand theft as it relates to his collection of life insurance for his murdered wife, Tammy Daybell. And we're looking for justice here today. But before I get into it, I want to say a special thank you to you guys, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all the folks who positively engage. You guys are what makes this a great place. I appreciate you, and I thank you guys. Also, the moderators and the replay viewers, you guys are second to none, and thank you for all of your support. Hey, Attorney Melanie Little is going to be joining me in a few. We're going to listen at 4 o'clock. It's just 10 minutes from now, but I want you to listen. The jury came in. It took 6 hours and 7 minutes for them to reach this verdict. It was very quick. They started yesterday for about an hour, and then today about 5 hours. They came into the courtroom. They asked for some instructions. So I want to play for you some of the instructions while we wait for this verdict to be read live in the courtroom. But I'm gonna play this quickly for you guys so you can actually see what happened this morning, and it kept everybody on edge. And this is the courtroom proceedings that the jury asked for instructions from the judge.
Instruction. A few things I'll note. Looking at the case law in the case, I'm citing a case, Crawford versus State, and that's 160 Idaho 586, that indicates if a jury with its note indicates that there's any kind of a defect or gap in the instructions, then the trial court has the duty to give such additional instructions on the law as are reasonably necessary to alleviate the jury's doubt or confusion. I'll also note that Idaho Criminal Rule 30C states that the court may further instruct the jury after deliberations have begun, either in writing or explain the instructions in open court, and further instruction or explanation must be made part of the record. So we are going to put that on the record. In addition, Idaho Code 9.
I just want to let you guys know this is what they asked for just about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours ago. They asked for this instruction, and it's very quick. It's only 8 minutes.
1922-04 allows for the jury to return after they've retired for deliberation to address a question such as the one that's been posed here by the jury foreperson. So in order to address the question, then I'll note on the record, I've advised counsel and shown them the question the court received. I'm going to have the jurors return, and the court has now drafted an additional instruction, which is jury instruction number 42. And that is an instruction relating to the elements as they relate to count 6 of the amended indictment. So beginning with the state then, has the state had an opportunity to review the instruction number 42?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there any objection to the court reading that instruction to the jurors at this time?
No objection.
As the defense.
So it was instruction 42. And by the way, I'm watching the live court feed. And as we get that live court feed, I will turn to that. So this is, again, I'm just playing this for you guys to listen to what the jury asked for right before they reached this verdict. They asked for these instructions.
Been able to review instruction number 42?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there any objection from the defense to the court reading the instruction at this time?
There is no objection to the court reading the instruction at this time.
Okay, thank you, counsel. We'll have the jurors return then, and that will include the alternate jurors as well. The court will go through the reading of instruction 42, and one additional original copy of the instruction will be provided to the jurors with their instruction packet, along with courtesy copies they'll have of this new instruction. So, Mr. Bailiff, if you would please have the jurors return to the courtroom at this time.
All right, please. A lot of people have been waiting for this, Sally Ann. We've all been waiting for this. It's been a long road to justice. A long road to justice. Kay and Larry Woodcock, the additional family members, Nate Eaton, thank God that they were able to do this before he jumped on that plane to go to CrimeCon.
All right, thank you. Please be seated.
I'm so happy they were
All
able
right,
to
thank
get
you,
this
ladies and
done.
gentlemen of the jury. The court received a jury question from the presiding juror, and the question states as follows, quote, Judge Boyce, as to count 6, is there an instruction listing the elements? The court went back and reviewed the instructions you were provided, and despite best efforts to give you all the necessary instructions, in fact, you were not provided an instruction as you've requested and should have been. So for that reason, the court now is giving you one additional instruction that you may consider in your deliberations, and that is now instruction number 42. So the court will now read through instruction number 42, and after it's been read through, you'll be able to continue with your deliberations. So jury instruction number 42 reads as follows. In order for the defendant to be guilty of first-degree murder as alleged in count 6 of the amended indictment, the state must prove each of the following. 1, on October 2019. 2, in the state of Idaho. 3, the defendant, Chad Daybell, engaged in conduct or did aid, abet, advise, or procure another to engage in conduct which caused the death of Tammy Daybell. 4, with malice aforethought. And 5, the murder was a willful, deliberate, and premeditated killing. Premeditation means to consider beforehand whether to kill or not to kill, and then to decide to kill. There does not have to be any appreciable period of time during which the decision to kill was considered, as long as it was reflected upon before the decision was made. A mere unconsidered and rash impulse, even though it includes an intent to kill, is not premeditation. Aiding and abetting is defined as follows: all persons who participate in a crime either before or during its commission by intentionally aiding, abetting, advising, or counseling another to commit the crime with intent to promote or assist in its commission are guilty of the crime. All such participants are considered principals in the commission of the crime. The participation of each defendant in the crime must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. If you find that the state has failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt any of the elements 1 through 4 above, or failed to prove any of the circumstances listed in element 5, you must find the defendant not guilty of first-degree murder. If you find that elements 1 through 4 above have been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and you unanimously agree that the state has proven any of the above circumstances under element 5 beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder. If you find that the state has failed to prove any of the above, you must find the defendant not guilty of first-degree murder. If you find that all of the above have been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then you must find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder. So that concludes reading of jury instruction number 42. The court will have you include that in your deliberations, and that original instruction will go back with you to the jury room for your deliberations. Thank you for your patience in addressing this matter, and thank you for the question to address that as well. All please rise for the jury then.
How many of you guys in the chat are nervous right now? I am kind of nervous, but it's a nervous, it's a nervous anxiousness I'm just so anxious to hear this verdict. I want to hear those 8 counts guilty across the board, and I want to see Chad Daybell's yellow tie face. I want to see Chad Daybell's reaction. So it's just like I'm nervous for justice. I want this justice to be served, and I want it served now. And this waiting is just torturous, and it's only
All
been
right, thank you. We're in recess.
6 hours.
Judge, is it still the court's position 30 minutes within notification?
I think so, Mr. Pryor. I think that helps
you, Your
us
Honor.
keep things moving. If we have any other questions or a verdict.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So that's just Chad Daybell's lawyer, John Pryor, asking for 30 minutes of notice when the verdict comes in. So we all had more than 30 minutes. I believe it was almost 45 minutes of notice. So that's what he was just asking there. And I don't think that there's much more to this. All right, friends. So I'm going to put myself back on. A lot of excitement here, and again, I'm monitoring all the feeds right now as we speak. I've got Law and Crime. I've got East Idaho News. Let's take a look outside of the court. I believe Nate Eaton and East Idaho News has a live feed outside the courtroom. At least I saw outside the courthouse. So let me see if I can grab that, pull that up. So I want to say thank you to everyone who's given super chats and became members. Susan King, Janine, thank you for becoming a member. Pretty Mama, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you, Cynthia, for your generous super chat. She says thank you for your immediate coverage. Virginia, thank you for becoming a member. And Tracy Smith, great to have you on board. Welcome to the Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace family. So it still says court in recess. And this is a look at Law and Crime's feed at this time. We should have something shortly because it is now 2 o'clock, or actually 1 o'clock Idaho time. So this should be starting soon. So let's just take a peek over here. All right. I asked you guys how many of you are a little nervous. I'm just a tad bit nervous. Watching the East Idaho News and some of the coverage, it's just got my nerves rattled. 8 counts, of course, first-degree murder for JJ, Tylee, and his wife Tammy, right? Conspiracy to commit murder as well, and also his charges as it relates to his conspiracy to commit grand theft relating to his wife Tammy Daybell's. That's the fake. His claim that he put in for her life insurance. You remember, before he killed her, and I'm saying this now, even though the verdict is not out, but before Chad Daybell killed his wife, he upped her insurance policy. That makes it just extra creepy and extra disgusting. So let me go to East Idaho News. I'm checking Nate's feed here. I don't see anything as of yet. Yeah, everybody's nervous. We all are. Trust me, we all are. So let me just see what we got going on here. Give me a second. I'm going to YouTube. All right, I have it. 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 All right, I got the court.
Okay, we're on the record on case CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. The court's been advised that the jury has reached a verdict. The court will note the parties are present. The state's present with Mr. Wood, Ms. Blake, Mr. Wixom, and Ms. Beatty. Mr. Pryor's here representing the defendant, Mr. Daybell. And the court at this time is going to instruct the jurors to please be brought into the courtroom. That will include our alternate jurors as well to be seated. And then I will have the marshal get the verdict form from the jury once they return to the courtroom. So if they can come in at this time, we'll have them brought in.
By a show of hands in the chat, who here feels that Judge Boyce has done a fantastic job in this courtroom? I am going to put a 1 in the chat immediately. He's done a great, great job in this case. Jury is coming in. We're going to listen in. I've got Ed Wallace and attorney Melanie Little hanging out in the green room. Let's listen to the verdict. Please all present accounted for, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, the court's going to next just make a reference that there is a courtroom conduct order in effect in this proceeding to remain in effect. So I appreciate everyone complying with that order, as most of you have done throughout the proceedings in this case. At this time, then, the first matter I'd like to take up is to do a roll call of the jury for the record. So, Madam Clerk, if you could please conduct a roll call of our jury to make sure they're all present and properly seated at this time.
Juror number 1, red card number 27. Juror number 2, red card number 219. Juror number 4, red card number 631. Juror number 5, red card number 653. Juror number 7, red card number 752. Juror number 8, red card 1680. Juror number 9, red card number 823. Juror number 10, red card 1358.
Present.
Juror number 11, red card 1365. Juror number 12, red card 716. Juror number 14, red card 997. And juror number 15, red card 1078.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for conducting the roll call. All right, at this time, I'm next going to inquire from the jury foreperson. Has the jury reached a verdict? All right, thank you. Mr. Bailiff, if you would please retrieve the verdict from the jury foreperson. Thank you. All right, the court has reviewed the verdict form. I'll note that all counts have been properly marked, as well as the verdict form's been properly dated and signed by the foreperson. The next step then is Mr. Daybell, if you and counsel would please rise. I'm going to have the clerk read the verdict.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho and in for the County of Fremont. State of Idaho plaintiff versus Chad Guy Daybell defendant. Case number CR 22211623. Verdict. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn to try the above entitled action for our verdict, unanimously answer the questions submitted to us as follows. Question number 1. In regards to count 1 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan and grand theft by deception? Guilty. Question 2. In regards to count 2 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan? Guilty. Question number 3. In regards to count 3 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow and grand theft by deception? Guilty. Question number 4. In regards to count 4 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Joshua Jackson Vallow? Guilty. Question number 5. In regards to count 5 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 6. In regards to count 6 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell? Guilty. Question number 7. In regards to count 7 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of insurance fraud? Guilty. Question number 8, in regards to count 8 of the amended indictment, in regards to count 9 of the amended indictment, is Chad Guy Daybell not guilty or guilty of insurance fraud? Guilty. Dated this 30th day of May, 2024, and signed by the presiding juror.
Get the broom. It was a clean sweep.
Thank you for reading the verdict. At this time, I'm just going to collectively ask the jurors, all of you, is this in fact your unanimous verdict on each of those counts? Very well. At this time, I'm going to inquire if the parties wish to have the jury polled. Does the state wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Does the defense, Mr. Pryor, wish to have the jury polled?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Wow,
Very well then.
that's surprising.
Clerk,
Yeah, for the defense.
verdict.
Yeah,
At this time, then, this does conclude the guilt phase of this trial. Because the defendant has been convicted on counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, the state has filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty, and so a second phase of this trial, called the sentencing phase, will be taking place next. We're going to take a recess at this time for approximately an hour. We will come back on the record and begin with the start of that sentencing phase of the trial. I would like to remind everyone that this courtroom conduct order is still in application throughout these proceedings. Thank you all for complying with that. We are going to take that recess at this time. Mr. Daybell is to remain in custody at this time for the commencement of the sentencing phase. And with that, thank you all, and we will be in recess.
All right, please.
Down goes Daybell.
Ron, I think you're muted.
Yes,
Hey,
thank,
Melanie, how are you?
thank you.
Please.
Thank you for reminding me. I'm in the warehouse, so it's kind of loud here. I was surprised that, I mean, we knew that they were going to go right straight to the sentencing phase, Ed and Melanie, but an hour break in between, I mean, I don't know. I was hoping that they would have just jumped right into it, or maybe with a 10 or 15-minute recess. But it gives us all now time to celebrate this win. And I'm sure that Kay and Larry Woodcock and everybody who is fighting for justice for these victims are just so happy. I know I'm elated, and I'm so thankful. I actually made a little YouTube short, and I said, I guarantee you that if I had a bet on it, I would bet that there would be guilty verdicts across the board. And that's what we saw here today. Ed, I wanted to jump to you first and then go right to Melanie.
Yeah, no, it was a good day for justice. Okay. These poor kids and this crazy family, it's unbelievable. Unfortunately, I think, while we can praise what happened today as our society gets the justice and these victims get the justice they deserve, but one person got away with it. And, he'll never be held accountable because he's dead.
Right. And that's the unfortunate part. But now we look at Melanie, as we talk about justice for the kids, but look at Tammy Daybell. Her body was exhumed.
Yeah.
He thought he got away with it. He collected her life insurance. He actually upped it. And in all these counts here, he's found guilty and held accountable. Your thoughts as an attorney, and you've been following this, and I know you've had live streams with us and on your own channel. And
Yeah.
I value your thoughts and opinions.
It's a great day for justice, not just for JJ and Tylee, but for Tammy.
Yeah.
And I was watching a little bit before I came on with you, and you said you were a little bit nervous, and I didn't really feel nervous. I felt real confident that this was going to be the verdict, but I was sitting on the edge of my seat, as always, when they were reading it. And, there's a lot of people in the chat who are saying they just broke down in tears. And I think everybody kind of feels that way because there's so much buildup to this. And finally, we're seeing justice. It's been a very long time. I want to say one of the last live verdicts that you and I did together was the Lori Vallow verdict, and the
Vallow,
West
yeah.
verdict. So every time there's a verdict day, there's so much emotion around it. Not just, imagine what the families are feeling if this is how we feel just covering this case. Great day for justice all around. Couldn't be happier for the family.
Amen to that, Melanie. I couldn't have said it any better, but like my nerves were running high because I felt that, I didn't think we were going to get a clean sweep across the board because of some of the questions that were asked, but really just that Rule 42 that they asked, that it was count 6, and they wanted the judge to list the elements. Did you follow any of that, Melanie? I took a couple of.
I saw a little bit. I started watching it before. I've been, neck deep in the Karen Reed trial, so I've been
Right.
kind of single thread. But I did see that the court forgot to give them one of the elements of one of the counts, and so when they came back to ask for that, I think that's when the judge gave them the elements. But good on them for realizing that they didn't have it, and the court for giving it to them. And then it was very quickly after that, I think, that they came back. What was the total hours of deliberation?
6 hours and I believe 7 minutes total, according to Law and Crime. I'm going by their count. It was an hour or so yesterday, and then five hours and change today. But again, we want the jury to dot their I's and cross their T's. This is a case where you're talking about capital murder, and we're going to hear in about an hour what Chad Daybell's fate is. And Ed, you and I know, and Melanie as well, these murder sentences take decades for them to to execute, right? And
with all the appeals, absolutely, so he'll be on murder row, death row rather, for quite some time, until all the appeals are finished, and even that's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that he won't win an appeal. So but for now, we'll take this justice, and hopefully we'll see what happens in the next portion of the trial, which will be for the sentencing, and hopefully he gets the DP.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for, and we'll hear it in about an hour. Melanie, do you think that this will be a dragged out process, or will Judge Boyce just get right to it? I personally have never seen the sentencing happen this quickly in recent memory, but
Right.
I'm trying to think of some trials in the recent past, and I can't really come up with anywhere we've had the guilty verdicts and then boom, the sentencing.
Right. Well, they're moving on to the second portion, which is the death penalty phase of the trial. So my understanding is that they're going to be able to present argument and maybe some evidence with regard to whether or not he should be sentenced to the death penalty. So I don't know. Did he say that he was going to rule on that today, or just that they were going to start that phase?
He says he's going to rule. Let me go to this.
I think Ron, I think it's just another trial, Ron. They're going to have to go. There's going to be witnesses and testimony.
Right.
All right, let's listen to what Nate Eaton's saying. He's right outside the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I wanted to put. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm here at the office, so it's hard for me to add all this stuff on. So let me just stop this.
Oh my God. The curtains are back, Ron. The curtains are back.
Easy.
I like your curtains. I like your curtains, Ed.
I think they look nice.
It's the hotel.
All right, East Idaho News. Here we go. YouTube. Come on, Nate. No, come back, Nate. Where are you? Hi, vey. All right, give me a second.
All right, so let me see. Where is she? Okay. So this is the logo for the United States Marine Corps Embassy Guard here in Morocco.
Nice. And everybody always picks out whatever you're up to or wherever you are. They always pick on the background and all of your stuff. And
not only that, they can tell when I have a toothache. I mean, they're on top of it. Let me tell you something.
It's a very intuitive viewership.
Yes. Everybody's paying attention. All right, I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna get it to where Nate comes out because he comes running out of the courthouse. Okay, here we go. Where is it? I was watching it while you guys were talking. Okay.
And theft by
All right, here we go.
Ran down from the fourth floor.
He came running down. This guy is getting on a plane in 2 hours to go to CrimeCon. So he's been covering this thing like crazy.
Well, before 2 o'clock, we got
All right,
word
here we
around 1:15-ish that a verdict had been reached. We were given the notice that we needed to be ready for that verdict, and it was read at 2 o'clock. The courtroom was packed. I can tell you lots of tears, lots of sniffles as this verdict was read. We walked out in the hallway afterward, and law enforcement officers were crying. They were hugging Larry and Kay Woodcock. Samantha or Tammy Daybell's father hugged Larry Woodcock as the two of them cried together. A lot of emotion in that courtroom. This, of course, has been nearly a 5-year ordeal, and these families have waited for this day. Chad Daybell showed little emotion. And what happens from here is in less than an hour, we'll be back in the courtroom and the penalty phase of this trial will continue. What does that mean? It means that Tammy Daybell's siblings and her dad have prepared statements that will be read from the stand. They will get to read victim impact statements that basically share how they feel and how this has affected them. Chad Daybell's children could also read those statements, but they were not in the courtroom today. They were not here. No word if they are coming. And then because this is the penalty phase, the jury will then go back and deliberate if Chad Daybell should get the death penalty or life in prison. It's unclear how long that process will happen. I mean, who knows? It could be later today if all the victims go. It could go into tomorrow. It could go through the weekend. But the big news today, if you're just tuning in, Chad Daybell found guilty of murdering JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, his wife Tammy Daybell in her bed. He's found guilty of conspiracy to commit the murders of JJ, of Tylee, of Tammy, and he's found guilty of 2 counts of insurance fraud. Now, I don't expect that we'll see people coming down here just yet. After Lori Vallow's verdict last year, Larry and Kay Woodcock came down to address the press. I believe that they're going to stay up there until the penalty phase of the verdict happens. And I don't know how long that will last. I have to give you a little behind the scenes look at how this verdict, at least how we found out about it. Earlier this morning, the jury had a question and the court reconvened. The jury was called in, the judge was called in, everybody gathered in the courtroom, and there was part of an instruction that was not included. And the jury had a question about what that particular part of the instruction needed to be. So the judge added a 40-second instruction to the packet. They then went back and deliberated. Around 1 o'clock, we were sitting in the courtroom. There was a bailiff in there. There was some court staff. Another bailiff opened the back door, not back where near the judge's chambers are. And he said to the other guy, "Hey, come here now." And immediately we knew something's going on. This bailiff then left the courtroom. About 5 or 10 minutes later, Kay Woodcock was in the courtroom with us. She yelled, "We have a verdict." And several people in the courtroom cheered, and the bailiff said, "You can't do that, no cheering." And then I started to get multiple texts from people saying the verdict's in, the verdict's in. The courtroom started to fill up with law enforcement officers from Fremont County, the FBI, the Rexburg Police Department, the Attorney General's office, agencies from all across the state. They're represented in that courtroom. They have worked hard for this day, and they have got the verdict that they were hoping for, that the state has been working for. And of course, Chad Daybell's defense attorney argued that he had nothing to do with this, but the jury thought otherwise. So again, we're about to start that penalty phase. We will carry that for you live. The judge said that's going to start around 3:15 Mountain Time. It's 2:25 now, so we have about 50 minutes for that to happen. I can give you a look, Jordan. Why don't we pan if we need to? There are people gathered here outside the courthouse. Just kind of pan around. You can see cameras from news stations locally and national news networks. And then behind Jordan, I don't know if you can swing all the way around to a 360. There are people who are out here just at the courthouse. Just they wanted to come by. They wanted to see what was happening, and they are gathered here on the courthouse steps to see what this verdict is. This trial has been over 8 weeks long. If you include jury selection, it was 9 weeks. Jury selection started April 1st, and then witnesses started the following week with opening statements and witnesses and evidence. And then just yesterday, closing arguments. The prosecution took about 2 hours. The defense took about an hour and a half. And then the prosecution went back for a rebuttal closing that was nearly an hour too. And the jury began deliberating around 4 o'clock yesterday. They wrapped things up around 6. They are in sequestration. They cannot go home. So they went to their hotel, which is somewhere in the county, where they spent the night. They were back.
Hey, Melanie, I wanted to ask you about this because someone in the chat was talking about the jury being sequestered, and does that do they speed through the, I mean, this is a death penalty phase that they are now having to decide on. I don't think that this would be any, like someone in the chat asked, well, will they now rush through it so they can get home for the weekend? They've been at this for so many weeks. I mean, I would hope not, because you're looking at something serious here, no?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that, look, they've been sitting there for 9 weeks already, and they know that they have a man's life in their hands. And I think they're going to take it very seriously, and they're going to stay as long as it takes to get this part of the death penalty phase done. So I don't think they're going to be trying to get out of there for the weekend. I think that having them sequestered does help because they can deliberate longer and for as long as they want to. And I think you can see just by them coming back and asking for that additional instruction that they were not given with regard to one of the counts, that they're taking it very seriously. They're meticulously going through all the evidence. And I don't think that it's going to have any effect on them rushing through. I have confidence in this jury.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Ed, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to rush through it. It's a serious case, and they're going to go back. Going to listen. First of all, they're going to listen to all of these impact statements and what the witnesses that are going into the next phase here, the sentencing phase, and then they're going to listen to the judge's instructions again, and then they go in and they're going to deliberate. They have the power of life and death in their hands.
Right.
Okay,
Serious.
so you got to take this stuff seriously. If there's anybody in there that says, "Hey, let's just get this shit done. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of staying in a hotel. I want to go see my family." Well, that's wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%, 100%. I feel that they're going to take their time, and they've been here listening to evidence and here with this trial for, as you just heard Nate say, almost what, 8 weeks or 6? Yeah,
8 weeks of trial and a week of jury selection. So it's been
it's
9
9
weeks. They've been
weeks.
sitting there so far. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you're looking at some of these other trials, they do last long. But look, you're doing the Karen Reed trial. There's no end in sight there, and but those jurors are not sequestered, and that's what we have in this situation. I want to listen to a little bit more of what Nate has to say. I have something that I got to run and do like 2 seconds, so I'll be right back. But I'm going to put this on. If you guys need to go, or if you can stay, I greatly appreciate it. I'm just going to be gone like 3 minutes here.
Early this morning, 8 o'clock, and hey, Janice. Can I interview you? Okay. There's somebody that's been here every day from Rexburg that I thought I might get her thoughts. Julie, you want to grab her, Jordan, see if she'll talk? Lady in the denim shirt. A lady from Texas who knew Lori Vallow was also here, and Jordan's just gonna run and grab her, see if she'll do a quick interview with me. We can get her thoughts about this whole thing. I don't know if she wants to do it, but she was in the courtroom when the verdict was read. Can I just ask you a quick question? Sure. You'll be great. I interviewed you last year.
Yes, you did.
Remind everybody of your name.
Shelley Bester.
And Shelley, you're from Texas.
Yes, Austin.
And you were in the courtroom just now.
Yes, I was.
And describe the feeling.
Amazing. Tense, but relief.
Yeah.
It's a journey that's ending.
And did you predict that verdict?
Yes.
You did?
Of course. Yes.
Not surprised at all?
Not surprised. No.
What did you think looking at Chad Daybell as that verdict was read?
I was wondering if he was breathing. He was no expression at all.
Kind of like what we've seen the whole trial in a way, but was this different?
No, I think well, he did look a little pale. Did you think he looked a little pale?
I was sitting actually behind him, so
Okay.
I couldn't quite see his face, and there was a deputy in the way, but there was no movement as far as I could see.
Like you didn't even know if he was breathing, no blink, of course, which he never does, right? So, yeah.
You've been here several days, and you were here earlier in the trial.
I have. Yes.
What's your overall takeaway? I mean, why the draw? Why come out from Texas to spend time here?
Well, I was associated with Lori, many years ago.
She did Lori's hair. Can I announce that? I think
Lori did my hair.
Lori did her
Lori
hair.
did
I
my
think we
hair.
said that last year.
Yes,
Yeah.
for-
I'm going to take this off because he's just talking with people that are just showing up there. Again, we got 15 minutes. I'm going to schedule another live stream. I'm going to do a Melanie Little. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come back. Sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
Got
to stretch.
I feel strongly about the amount of time that this, not only just to build up for this trial and the length of what we heard from the prosecutor and from the defense in this case. We had a preview of this with Lori Vallow, and now we are looking at going down to Arizona potentially and having another trial for Lori Vallow, Shallow Vallow, as I like to call her, in the death of Charles Vallow, and Alex Cox, again, the trigger man in that murder. Dead men. Ed, you and I say this all the time. Cops talk about this. Dead men tell no tales. That's what we have here. We have Alex Cox, who was the enforcer, is not here to answer for anything. And John Pryor, in this trial, tried to put the blame on him.
Put the blame on the dead guy. It's easy to do that. Can't testify, can't defend himself.
That's right.
Okay?
Unbelievable.
Didn't
Not
work.
surprising. Unbelievable. Not surprising. But that's what John Pryor did at the end. When he was giving his closing arguments, he blamed Alex for everything. He said Chad had nothing to do with it. Chad didn't do any of it. It was all Alex.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Didn't work. Didn't work.
Let's look at the chat. Hashtag Melanie, hashtag Ed, hashtag Ron. A lot of people were asking questions as we were covering this here. I just wanted to get it all out, and I want to also listen to what Nate's saying just for a second here.
And Chad Daybell killed his wife. He says you were here earlier.
Till Saturday.
Okay.
Thank you.
This
You
is
did a
the
great
part I
job.
wanted to
You
hear
did
because
good.
I was listening
She's
to it.
been here early every day with the group.
And thanks for the donuts.
Yes,
Oh,
brought
boy.
donuts this morning.
He brings
I guess
donuts every
my,
day when he comes to the courthouse.
Theory on bringing donuts
You're
help.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
You're a repeat.
Right.
I
You
love
brought
how
it for Lori's trial.
he
For the verdict.
blurts out what she
Brought
does
donuts,
for,
got the
you know,
verdict.
what's her connection to this, and then he asked permission to blurt that out, but he already blurted it out already.
Although that she does bring up a good point. We do have another trial for Lori Vallow, who is in Arizona at the Maricopa County Jail on these charges in relation to the deaths of Charles Vallow, her fourth husband, and the
Her fourth husband.
conspiracy of the death of Brandon Boutron.
Don't judge.
So that
No, hold on a second.
Just
I was
kidding.
not saying.
Just
I was
kidding.
not saying that. Listen to all of my divorcees out there, divorcees. He divorces her husbands and kills them.
Yes. Yes. Black
Let's
Widow.
put a
for sure.
disclaimer onto this. That's why I was doing.
Yeah,
it. I was, you
Just
know,
we sometimes we got to make a joke just to get through this.
conspiracy charges on both of
Spoken like a
those
true lawyer.
people, Charles and Brandon.
That's Melanie.
That
That's why I
trial is
love it.
scheduled to begin in August, but I don't think it will be happening in August. I think it will be happening early next year. Many of you are just tuning in. Chad Daybell found guilty this afternoon on all counts, 3 first-degree murder counts, including JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell. 3 conspiracy to commit first-degree murder counts, Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, Tammy Daybell. 2 counts of insurance fraud for the insurance money that he used after Tammy Daybell died. He used those funds. And Chad Daybell killed his wife. He killed JJ Vallow. He killed Tylee Ryan. And he conspired with Lori Vallow to commit their murders. That
For
is what
money.
the jury decided on this afternoon when they handed down this verdict less than 20 minutes ago. And now we wait to see what his punishment will be. Will he face the death penalty? Will he face life in prison? Idaho has not sentenced somebody to death since 2017. This would be the first. This would be the first death penalty case in eastern Idaho in I don't know how many years. Several years, possibly over a decade or more. But that jury could very well come back after this penalty phase and say Chad Daybell deserves to die for the crimes he committed against his wife and the children of his new wife. Inside the courtroom, we have Tammy Daybell's father. For the first time, he came to a court hearing. I spoke with him briefly after. It was very emotional.
I want to say this too. When Chad Daybell murdered his wife, And Ed, you, myself, and Barbara Butcher got together and we talked about this while it was happening. When his wife died, he wanted to do a direct cremation. And why did he want to do a direct cremation? Attorney Melanie Little, you can tell everybody why he wanted to do that.
No evidence, no cause of death. Ed can probably speak to the forensics better than I can, but no body, no evidence, right?
Amen. And amen. We complain about this all the time, how people rush to get their loved ones cremated.
Big mistake.
Yeah, you just gotta slam on the brakes, okay? And take a deep breath and hold off on that, okay? Until everything is done and every dot is made and every T is crossed, because you never know. You never know. I mean, look at Alex, right?
Yeah. People want to know who killed him. Guess what? You could look at Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, because he was killed and he was cremated, right? They
Now,
said
Alex had an autopsy.
Yeah, but he was cremated afterwards.
Right. But you can never, you don't know what was missed on the autopsy, if anything, because, it could have been fine. The autopsy could have been fine, but there could have been some toxicology that was missed. There could have been some drugs or toxins that were not found that could have been used to kill him. And now we'll never know because of the body being cremated. And that, I gave the example of how these toxins can stay in your body even after you've been embalmed and buried in the ground for a century. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've had bodies exhumed in Europe and so forth, under suspicious behavior, a coroner's inquest, or whatever the case may be, to take a second look at this. And then the second look finds what the first autopsy missed. And we had the Russians killing a Bulgarian dissident in London with a pellet of ricin, and nobody knew how he died back then. Then we had the fall of the Soviet Union, and the American government got their hands on the KGB records, and they stated how they did it in the records. They exhumed the body from the cemetery, did additional toxicology, and found the ricin toxin in the remains.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody in the chat said too, Joe Ryan, one of Lori Vallow's, one of her victims, her ex-husband, he was killed and an autopsy and then cremated.
Well, when the murderer is in charge of the decision to cremate or not cremate, does that show consciousness of guilt, Ed? Ron, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. And the fact that, there was a lot of factors involved here, right? There was a lot of, inexperienced medical legal death investigator. There was a lot of things that fell in, let's just put it there, it fell into his favor.
Right. Mm-hmm. We see so much of this across the United States, not so much in the New York metro area, but look, we see it up in Massachusetts too with Karen Reed. These guys were collecting stuff with solo cups and blowing with leaf blow.
Ed, I need to know what you think.
I must have missed that lesson that taught me how to collect blood from snow and put it in solo cups and then in a used paper bag. I must have missed that lesson because I don't recall ever being taught to do that.
What about the leaf blower to blow the snow around to find the evidence? And the guy went back to his house to get it. Shot home, shot back, got his own leaf blower.
But I was watching a hearing today up in with Brian Kohlberger up in Idaho, and they were talking about some of the evidence collection, Ed, and they're going to have a field day with the chief of police. He's now retired, going in and out of 1122 King Road with taking stuff and putting it into a U-Haul, all of their property. While the crime scene tape was still up. You and I did a whole live stream on that.
Remember that.
Yeah, Melanie, I mean, is it me? Is it just me? Or
never just
does it appear that these prosecution witnesses, especially the law enforcement ones, were prepped to say, I don't recall, I don't remember?
Of course, because if you say, I don't remember, I don't recall, you're not lying. You just don't recall, right? It's not a direct lie. You can't be convicted of perjury if you don't remember or you don't recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm okay. Maybe one or two, but so many law enforcement witnesses are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I looked at that lieutenant's from Canton Police Department,
Canton.
who's being he was being cross-examined by the defense about the red Solo cups and the paper bag, and I mean,
ShopRite bag.
no, it wasn't ShopRite. It was
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop. Yes.
Some shit like that.
All right, get it right. All right, Ron, get it right. Anyhow,
Very detail oriented, the Karen Reed followers. You got to be careful.
listen, if they're following my curtain behind me, you got to get that bag right.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
anyhow. So that said, his testimony, and I watched it, and I couldn't believe, he was like arguing needlessly on every point.
Hmm.
Well, I can't tell if there might be something on the other side of the bag, and and just and then listen, dude. Either you don't know. Okay,
Right.
Either it was done or it wasn't done. Stop making excuses. Stop prolonging this. Stop battling with the defense attorney. Give up what was done and what wasn't done. Okay. Have you ever put crime scene tape on it? Yeah. Come on. Some of the silliest things to get.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I'm going to reel it back into this. Cindy puts a question out there. DutyRon, since he was convicted, will he show up for the penalty phase in jail clothing? I mean, the penalty phase is going to happen in less than 40 minutes now. I think he'll be in that gross yellow tie still. But when if there's any proceedings that go forward after the day's ending, he's going to be going to the same location where he was being held all this time, a county jail. So he's going to be, I would say, and Melanie, correct me if I'm wrong, going forward, he's now convicted. He's got, the verdicts are in. So he's going to have to get out of that business attire, and he's going to be in jail attire.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if a defendant has the right to wear street clothes at different phases when they're in front of a jury. I'm just not sure of the Idaho rules.
Yeah,
Are you, Ed? I don't know.
No, I don't think. First of all, he came. They don't have like an extra set of clothes waiting in the antechamber for him to change. He came that way from jail. Okay,
Right.
He came in the clothes that he was with. His jail uniform is back at the jailhouse.
Right, but I'm saying if today's done with and he's got to come back another time for additional hearings or procedures here, is he going to be still in? That's the question that she has. Is he going to be in jail clothing going forward after today, or is he going to be able to come back in a suit and tie?
Well, I mean, it's if they don't finish the sentencing testimony today, and he has to come back tomorrow, it could be deemed prejudicial if he comes back shackled and in the prison garb. Okay.
I wish that he could. I wish that they could do that, but yeah, you're right, Ed. You're probably right.
I wouldn't want to gamble that.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we got the win, clean sweep.
Right.
Let's continue. And let's not make any unforced errors here and give him something to appeal. I mean, he's going to appeal. Don't get me wrong. He's going to appeal, but let's not give him something that he could try to. I think
most people in the chat want to see him in a jailhouse jumpsuit just because. And I get it. I see the chat. I see everybody saying it would be better to see him in jailhouse clothing. But as Ed says, and as Melanie says, you got to play by the rules. You don't want to give them any extra ammo. His attorney, we don't want to hear prior talk any more than we need to hear him talk. So I think that if they were to do something like that, then it would give them something to bring up, as Ed says. So I think that, we'll see. Only time will tell. Who cares? He's convicted on 8 counts here, and now we were going to hear some victim impact statements and so forth from his family. What about the Woodcocks? I'm hoping that they will get up and be able to say something. And this may be a long afternoon, but we're not going to probably stay live for that because really this live stream was about the verdict. And then again, it would be a separate live stream to cover that part of it. East Idaho News will have it. Again, if you guys aren't following or subscribed to Attorney Melanie Little, I'll get an attorney, Melanie Little, give me about a half hour so I can get home and put in the comment section, the description, your channel.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But I'm gonna put it so everybody can just click on it. And Ed from Morocco, I know it's like almost 10 o'clock there, so you're ready for bed. That's why I want to wrap it up. I'll go to Melanie for final,
Awesome.
and then back to Ed.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was watching Chad Daybell while they were reading the verdict, and I was really focused on him specifically. And I thought my Zoom froze up because he did not move. He was like a statue. He was frozen. There was no emotion. He didn't move at all. Like that witness or the woman who was in the courtroom who said that Lori Vallow used to do her hair, that spoke to Nate after the verdict was read, said that she was concerned that he wasn't even breathing. I just thought my Zoom froze up. So I found that to be incredibly interesting. And the fact that Tammy's father was in court for the first time today, I think he said,
Yes,
I also
yes.
found interesting. I think the victim impact statements are going to be very, very highly emotional. I don't know if they're going to be able to get through all of them today because it's already almost 3 o'clock in Idaho, right? They're on, I think, Mountain Time.
I think they're 2 hours Mountain Time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it may not be over today because sometimes these victim impact statements can be very long, but I think that we are all very, very happy and satisfied that the jury took their time with this. They were in for at least 6 hours and came back with guilty verdicts across the board. And somebody said in the chat, I think it was Fluffy, who said, Chad Daybell is now dark. And that to me was the comment of the day.
Yeah, well said, Melanie. He now is dark, and he can continue to rate himself while he stays in his jail cell for the rest of his life, or waiting for what we don't know yet could be his death. Ed, over to you.
Well, there's breaking news. I don't know if you saw it. The Trump verdict is in. So, yeah, everybody's going to be watching that right now. So,
what's the verdict?
We know they didn't announce it yet, but the jury sent out a note to the judge saying we've reached a verdict.
Oh wow! I can't wait to hear that. But Ed, I want to thank you for being here from Morocco. You are a true warrior. And I said to you, I actually texted Ed. I said, I have Melanie. I know you said you had an embassy dinner. I was like, dude, just relax and chill out. I got Melanie Little coming in to fill in the shoes. And before I even went live, I saw Ed in the waiting room. So it was great. It was great that you were here, Ed. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Justice was served today for our victims, JJ, Tylee, and Tammy Daybell. Justice was served. And I'm just so happy for Kay and Larry Woodcock. When I see them, it breaks my heart because these are what I talk about all the time, the victims' families. The families are left behind in these cases to have their hearts broken because their loved ones are no longer here. JJ's grandfather, Larry, loved him like it was unbelievable love that he showed for him with the singing and the dancing together and all of the videos and all of the things that we saw. So these are the true people who have to now live the rest of their lives with their hearts broken. And that's where a small part of this justice comes into play to just kind of ease that pain just a little bit. So I want to just say, again, the wheels of justice have moved today, and we've seen justice served. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for my friendship with Attorney Melanie Little and obviously Ed Wallace, a brother from another mother, and to you guys, the replay viewers, the subscribers. We're approaching 315,000 subscribers, for crying out loud. Thank you, thank you, thank you, all of you guys who continue to subscribe to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We want to say thank you to the replay viewers, the moderators, and everybody who is making this community great. So thank you for being here, and thank you to my great friends hanging out here with us. All right, on behalf of the whole community here, justice has prevailed today, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you, Melanie. Ed, I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Take care, Melanie.
Bye.